All right, so this is going to be my last video today, and today I'm going to tell you guys about the laws. So these are all the laws of Nevada pertaining to a county recorder. So it states here, NRS 247410, liability of wrongful acts. A county recorder is liable to pay an aggrieved The county recorder is liable to pay a party that has been affected for 3 times the amount of damages that may be occasioned thereby if the county recorder neglects or refuses to record a document that is authorized, entitled, or required by law to be recorded within a certain amount of time after receiving the document, records a document willfully or negligently, untruly, or in any other manner that is directed in this chapter, neglects or refuses to maintain the county recorder's office such indexes as required in this chapter. NRS 247580, a person shall not make false representation to obtain any information pursuant to NRS 247.5. NRS 247.580B, knowingly obtain disclosed information pursuant to NRS 247.500, inclusive for any of these uses not authorized. A person who violates the provisions of this section is guilty of a misdemeanor. So the county recorder is guilty. She has concealed mortgage fraud. She had ex parte communications to the judge. Once I went in there to file lease pendants, she called the judge. And NRS 247.590 discloses any confidential information about a person or an entity listed in NRS 247.540 in violation of 247.500, inclusive, and a person who makes the disclosure knows or reasonably should know that the disclosure will create substantial risk or bodily harm to a person's or their property. So I gave her the letter from the expert. I showed her that the notary notarized her own document, and she threatened to call the police on me. NRS 247.600, civil penalties are imposed pursuant to NRS 247.580 for $2,500 per act of violation. So the county recorder, it says it right here in Nevada state laws, is guilty. Now, these are notary laws, and this is the main point. A notary cannot notarize their own documents. They did this before I had him sign the letter of agreement. This was already done. So all of that he's trying to confuse everybody with, that's what they did to me for 2.5 years. And they were able to confuse the crap out of me, and to the point where I didn't even know what I was entitled to. But this is the law. NRS 240065, restrictions on the power of a notary republic. A notary public may not perform a notary act if the notary public executed or is named in the instrument acknowledged. Therefore, Nikki Secaucus Bott named in the CD. She's the escrow agent. She cannot notarize the document, but she did because she needed to forge my name. So, therefore, it says right here that she's guilty. NRS 240.075, prohibited acts. A notary shall not. So Melanie Traynor or Nikki Secaucus Bott, 2 notaries. A notary should not influence a person to enter or not to enter into a lawful transaction involving a notarial act performed by the notary. They encouraged Bobby Ante to fraudulently convey title into his name. Clear and concise. Certify an instrument containing a statement known by the notary public to be false. The notary knew that it was not his sole and separate property. So they notarized it that way. She knowingly, fraudulently conveyed title into his name, and he accepted it. So that tells you right there, these are the laws. So now the penalties for breaking these laws. NRS 240.150, for misconduct or neglect in a case in which a notary public appointed pursuant to the authority of the state may act either by law of this state or by another state, territory, or country, or by law of nations or commercial usage, the notary public is liable on his or her official bond to the parties injured thereby and the damages sustained. Says it right here. So why is Liberty Mutual and our RLI insurance company denying my bond when it says clearly here I'm entitled to it? So this is how easy it is for them to just break the law. They just don't do it, and nobody enforces it. So Bobby Ante and Linda Nah, they would love to tell you they didn't do anything, and that I'm not providing any facts and basis of what I'm doing. So I will show you every law they broke. NRS 205.372 A and B. A person who participated in mortgage lending transaction who knowingly makes a false statement or misrepresentation concerning a material fact, knowing conceals or fails to disclose a material fact. That's everybody. The Secretary of State, the County Recorder, the Police Department, Bobby Ante, Linda Nah, Nikki Bott, Garrett Chase, Grayson Moulton, Adam Fulton, Jared Jennings, and Logan Wilson. You guys have all concealed mortgage fraud. It says it right here in the law, so why is nobody arrested? And then it says NRS 205.372, number 5. The Attorney General may investigate and prosecute a violation of this section. So now that for 3 years I followed the process and I've gone to everybody, it's time for the Attorney General to act, to address the government corruption, to address the mortgage fraud, the forgery, and the violations of my civil rights. He still is not helping me. So, in addition to criminal penalties imposed for a violation in this section, any person who violates this section is subject to civil penalty no more than $5,000 for each violation. Yet, every civil case I filed, they've assessed no damages, and then they've charged me, which again is against the law. In the U.S. Constitution, 18 Section 3771 states that someone that victimizes me, I'm entitled to give them nothing, but each person has been awarded something. So, the Nevada rules of judicial conduct, they cannot be biased. Rule 1.3, avoid abusing their position. Rule 2.2, be impartial and fair. Rule 2.3, not be biased, not be prejudiced, and don't harass anybody. Raina Hughes, you are harassing me. You have been harassing me for 2.5 years, ever since I reported the fraud, and you refuse to acknowledge it. Rule 2.4, external influences. I showed you guys how the county recorder, Deborah Conway, contacted Raina Hughes. Then the next day her ruling comes out. The day I fire my attorneys, the next day her opinion comes out. So they're having plenty of ex parte communications. Rule 2.16, ensuring my right to be heard. So Raina Hughes took away my right to be heard by holding a trial with no jury, with no witnesses, and with no evidence. So therefore, I then filed into the other 2 cases filed by my attorneys, and Mary Kay Holthus and Elizabeth Gonzalez took away my right to be heard, decided issues without hearing